talking about? He's never played there before. He doesn't know any of these teammates.
This is actually hilarious right here. Like I done watched it several times. Keyshawn was trying
Right. Yes.
to reel her
I give him
in.
credit. I give
He
him
was
credit.
trying to
He
reel her
tried.
in. Come here, girl. Come here. She
He
ain't want to
tried.
listen. She ain't want to listen. If y'all ain't seen it, let's take a look.
No, but you wouldn't listen. Why, you stupid Look at you now.
Why? This is the Pittsburgh Steelers. They have 6 Lombardies. They're coached by first ballot Hall of Fame Mike Tomlin.
They don't have a
never
quarterback.
had a losing
They don't have a
season.
quarterback.
And we're sitting around talking about Aaron Rodgers is not there on the first day of OTAs. Mandatory or not, where's your pride? Where's your dignity?
That's why I say I'm going to give him another day.
Where's your respect for the game? Where's your respect for this organization? Where's this organization's respect for the history that they have in this league? What are we talking about? He's never played there before. He doesn't know any of these teammates. He doesn't know the streets to get to the facility. He doesn't know the doctors. He doesn't know the rehab crew. He doesn't know anybody. He doesn't know anybody. He doesn't know where to get his smoothies. Nothing. Like, why would you not be there? Why am I supposed to take this seriously? It's not about him not being at non-mandatory OTAs for a team that he's been with for 22 years. Do what you want to do. You won 5 games last year. The year before that, you didn't play because you tore your Achilles. The year before that, you missed the playoffs. What are we talking about?
What are you talking about, bro?
Yes, Lord.
Man, that was cringe. That was cringe-worthy right there.
Hey, Jason Taylor, CTE.
Maybe she knows something. She got the breaking news.
Hey, Jason Taylor,
Yeah,
CTE.
better have something.
She got the breaking news. Y'all don't know.
Jason Taylor, CTE, has transferred to his system. So, like, you can't. All right, so we know that these analysts have, like, the microphone in their ear. I'm very convinced now in the past several years that in the production team meeting, I think they are telling these people to say this stuff to trigger people to get the clickbaiting and all this, because ain't no way she cannot know that he's not part of the organization at all. Like, you can't tell me she don't know. And for her to keep going on and on and on, and Keyshawn trying to tell her, look, you messing up, you're trying to get her in, but I think somebody in their ear is telling her to keep saying it, because everybody knows that Aaron Rodgers is not in the Steelers camp, period. It's ants in the ground that know that he's not in at the field, know that he ain't there, that he ain't part of the organization. She has to keep it going. Like, these analysts, I see it. Like, even with ESPN, they have these analysts that just say wild and outrageous things, and then everybody get in an uproar. Which sometimes you gotta sit back and say, you know what? That don't make no sense. And why I'm not going to even engage or comment on this, because somebody is telling these people to say this dumb stuff. That's my take, and I don't
know though. That sounded very organic to me. You know, I don't think that was scripted. I don't think nobody told her to go out there and say that. I believe now she wish she could get it back.
Nobody's going out there and on purposely looking dumb. Nobody's doing that.
Well,
on purpose.
That was bad though. That was real bad, man. When it comes to sports media or any kind of media commentary, that was horrific, and it was live.
I'm gonna agree with Big Play Joe though right here on this one. And one of the things Big Play said to me earlier, he said all she had to do was Google it, and she would have seen that there was no organized team activities for non-roster players. In other words, if you're not signed to the team, you don't have any of those things, right?
You don't have a parking pass.
Lean over and ask somebody. Google it. Like, you could have done a lot in that. And so I think the problem here is that she made an assumption, and she thought, oh, I think I know what's going on. And your assumption was wrong. And because it was wrong, you double down, triple down, and now you look like an idiot. You look real dumb. And I think people were right to call her out on it.
So I think there's a mixture of things going on here. And I think it's kind of what's happening all across sports. I think she was trying to make a commentating type point that she feels that Aaron Rodgers should make his decision already. That he should have made his decision out of respect for the Steelers to either be there or not by this date. That he shouldn't be continuing to, quote unquote, continue this process as if he's so important. Whether there's merit to that argument or not, it's a valid kind of argument and commentating point to make. But this is the thing. Back in the day, commentators used to only be former athletes of that sport. You would bring in a Hall of Famer to commentate on what people were doing. Hey, Deion Sanders, come in here and comment on Bill Belichick's defensive game plan against Peyton Manning and what you think about it. And so he's going to comment from an outside observer. All I see is what people are seeing on TV, and I'm going to comment about what I know, etc. Then you had journalists. Journalists don't just make comments about things. Journalists will break stories. So if she was in her journalist hat, she would have broke something. She would have done some research to say, hey, this is where Aaron Rodgers and the Pittsburgh Steelers are at on these negotiations. Aaron Rodgers is handling some family issues that we heard about and doing da-da-da. Or the Steelers are actually the ones who don't want him to rush his decision and they don't feel these OTAs are that important, etc. That's things that journalists will investigate and then provide to us that I just can't go find out. Now there's these citizen journalists who are helping, etc. But I think these roles are being broken up. And then you had analysts who are a separate kind of breed. Now, analysts normally are only on during the actual sport events. They're on to analyze how a player or how a coach is effectively putting his game plan on the field, or et cetera, et cetera. And the problem we have is now when you look at that desk, she's commentating where Keyshawn would be the one doing that kind of commentating. Paul Pierce is just a talk show there. He's just another player who's going to make comments, but he doesn't really know. The commentator on football is Keyshawn. She's supposed to be the journalist and break something there. Don't give me just an emotionally driven thing that's not based in facts. Either break some new news or turn to the commentator and say, hey, what do you think about this? What do you think about my opinion that he should just make his decision by now? Hey, Keyshawn, if you were a player, would you have just made a timeline based on the team's OTAs? Or would you go in your best interest, etc.? Aaron Rodgers is a top 10 quarterback all time. Does that mean that he should give leeway to the Pittsburgh Steelers, or should he look out for himself first? So that's the problem. That whole conversation, they're mixing up their roles, and then it comes off unclear, and it hurts the overall brand of the sport because it's just not being covered properly.
And what was really ridiculous about it is when she went beyond commentary, in my opinion, to actually talking about things where she has no experience about. She's talking about, well, you need to be bonding with the team. You should be doing this. And I'm like, you've never even been on a team. Like, yes, what are you talking about? He should be, you're telling a Hall of Fame quarterback what he needs to be doing to get ready with his team and how he needs to be talking to the coaches and the doctors and the physical therapists and stuff like that. And you have never even experienced any of that. And it just seems so disingenuous, in my humble opinion.
Let me ask y'all a question. Let me ask y'all a question. Have we gotten to a point in society now where, women, people are scared to say anything because it's a woman? People with alternative lifestyles in these type of settings, people are afraid to go against them because of what the public outrage may be, when it's not even a hateful thing. To me, I feel like she was speaking like that as a woman who's being emotional instead of somebody who's in the sports field. But can we chastise it? Can we say, hey man, we need to dial back the females in this genre, or what do we do about it? Just ignore it and keep moving because we all see it.
It should be more facilitating when you don't know it.
I don't think it's just like a female thing. I agree with Mark. Like, if you study in journalism, you're not a commentator. You're a journalist. Break some news. You need to stay in your lane and do what you studied, do what you're good at. You're good at basketball, comment on basketball. Don't comment on baseball. You're good at football, comment on football. Don't comment on basketball. Like, people need to stay in their lane and do what they do. You're a commentator or you study broadcasting. I don't need you to have an athlete's mind and say what should be going on. No, I need you to break some news and tell me what's going on with that player and his situation, not what you think can happen. Because we don't read the newspapers of a journalist to see what his opinions are. We don't care what their opinions are. We want to know what's going on. Yep. That's why we read the news. That's why we read journalists.
And Sean is right. Sean is right. The people who are responsible for this mix-up and for the lack of quality coverage are the producers of these shows, who most of us don't even know who they are. But I think that the producers of most sports shows don't even like sports, because that's the only reason you would let people cover it that way. If you like sports, you would say, hold on, I'm not about to send my people out there to badmouth a top 10 Hall of Fame quarterback about not being on the roster and showing up to OTAs when we don't even know what's going on with his personal life. What if one of his family members is dead? Or what if something like, what if he's got hurt or is on drugs or something? Like, we have no idea what's going on, and we're going out there and saying that. It's these producers. If they had respect for the game, there are Bob Costas and Steve. There's great sportscasters and commentators out there that they could put on these shows. But who are they choosing to put on there? I'm not going to mention any names, but they're not choosing guys who are of that same ilk as the Howard Cosell's, et cetera, of the past. They're choosing people like, oh, man, people will just eat anything, and I'll just put this person up there. Da-da-da. Oh, you used to play ball? All right, yeah, man, get up there and say whatever you want. You get us YouTube? You get us Instagram clicks? All right, yeah, you get on there and say whatever. And that's the problem. It's the producers. It's not that the people out there with the skills aren't there. It is the producers. That's the problem.
Man, these producers are a bunch of uncles, and they don't know nothing.
That is true.
All right, fellas. It look like that's our time, man. Hey, listen, good show, man. And I agree with all of y'all, in different ways. I think it does have something to do with the clicks. She needed, like Joe said, everybody need to stay in their lane because we never cared about what the journalists thought. The journalists just report what they need to report. That's why we read the paper. Mark and Sean and Doc Prime, everything y'all said was spot on. So we'll see, man. Listen, Joy is used to catching flack, so she gonna brush this off her shoulders and keep it pushing, man. Ain't no whole lot to it. Anyway,
dirty work. Dirty work,
man. That's the show, man. See y'all next week.
All right, man. We'll see y'all. Peace.